Hi, Marissa.
Good morning, everyone. I want to thank you to our Senior Healthcare Mastermind, and I'm going to turn it right over to the chair, Connie, and we're really happy about today's program. Go ahead, Connie.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Connie Pulowski, and I'm the owner of Comfort Care Home Care, and I am the chair of the Senior Healthcare Mastermind Group with the Rockville Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, Margie, as always, for hosting us. And I want to welcome everyone really quickly. The program that we're doing today is it's a fabulous one. Not that they aren't all fabulous, but it's about communication and understanding people with the disease, with dementia, and how they communicate and how we can interact and communicate with them. And I think that's the most challenging, especially if you're a caregiver, because, well, you're going to learn why and how. And but I want to thank everyone. I want to thank Marissa for joining us from John Marshall Bank, Mark Ash for joining us from Right at Home, Lynn's House, Susan, my mom from Lynn's House Assisted Living, and Karen, I think that's Karen from Holistic Music Therapy. So thank you guys for all being here. And I want to go ahead and get started with the program and introduce Sheila Griffith from the Alzheimer's Association, the program manager for the, exactly,
Thanks,
Mark.
I'm paying Mark to do that.
The program manager for the National Capital Chapter. I think I said that wrong. And I want to welcome Phyllis again. Welcome back, Phyllis, who is joining Sheila here this morning. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Sheila and Phyllis. Thanks for being here, guys.
Thank you so much, everyone. And you did say it right. The Alzheimer's Association, the National Capital Area Chapter. It's a mouthful. And I just want to say, Connie, you said earlier, maybe everybody heard it, or if not, we do have our big Walk to End Alzheimer's this weekend on Saturday. Yeah, so it's hopefully going to be good weather and a great time to come out and fundraise for a great cause. So let me know if you need information to either just come out, be a team of yourself, or if you have people who would like to form a team, it's not too late. So anyway, but contact me and I'll put my email address in the chat. So anyway, I'm here to just assist Phyllis. Phyllis is a volunteer community educator, and so an all-around, person who helps the association in a lot of different ways. So anyway, she's going to be doing the program, and we'll both answer questions at the end. So Phyllis, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Sheila.
Here we go. I'm going to share my screen and get the program up there. Okay, can everybody see that?
Oh, all right. Okay, I can start. Understanding and responding to dementia-related behavior. And I know these are some of the biggest questions I think that we get from folks. So next chart, please.
Let's make sure. There we go. Oh, okay.
So here's a top level chart. By the end of today's program, you will be able to identify the common triggers for behaviors associated with dementia. As I always say, we need to look underneath what the person is saying. Focus on the feelings rather sometimes than what the person is saying. And explain the process for assessing and identifying challenging behaviors. Because I've said this in previous talks that maybe it's not even something that happened today, but it was something that happened yesterday that the person is upset about. And we're going to look at the strategies to address the common dementia-related behaviors. Next, please. So behavioral changes have many triggers, pain or discomfort, and this is really the first thing that we need to look at. We need to make sure the person is not in pain. Touch your stomach, touch your head, see if they are in pain in any way or discomfort. That's number one. Do they need eyeglasses? Do they need a hearing aid? What's going on in the environment? Again, and that leads to the next one, overstimulation or boredom. What's happening in the environment? Is it too bright? Are there not enough lights? Is the music too loud? Too many people coming and going, or boredom? And I think this is one of the biggest challenges we have, is the boredom, especially in the mid range of the disease. I think this is where you see mostly where people wander. A lot of the behaviors are taking place in the moderate part of the disease. So we need to look at that and find ways to reduce the boredom. Fear or frustration. As I said, maybe they're anxious today. Maybe it was something that happened yesterday. Maybe I'll use the word Johnny. Maybe Johnny yesterday upset the person and they came in today and you're wondering, and the person's upset and you're wondering, well, why are you upset? Johnny didn't do anything, but the person still feels it. They're still anxious about it. And it was something that happened yesterday. Or frustration. Maybe they can't find the words fast enough. They can't do what they could previously do. And unfamiliar surroundings, and this happens quite often, visiting, being overwhelmed, too much overstimulation, and complicated tasks. Again, maybe these are some things they used to be able to do, but they can't do it today. They can't follow a thread. They can't follow a recipe. Can't do the things they used to do. So next chart, please. So we have to be the detective, right? Detect and connect. What's going on? Is it physical? Does your head hurt? Do we need to see the doctor? Address the physical needs first, and then address the emotional needs. What's happening? Where's the anxiety coming from? Are they bored? And reassess and plan for next time. Write it down. Do these behaviors happen at a certain time of the day? We need to keep a log because it could be every night at 5 o'clock this happens. And we need to figure out why. Is it because they're bored? Is something going on at that time? Next chart, please. So again, detect and connect. Join the person in his or her reality by trying to see the world through his or her eyes. And understand the person's reality and context before intervening. Who, what happened, where are you, where are we, when, what time of day, and how. And what took place before. As I said, it could have been the day before. During, what's going on right now to make the person anxious. After the behavior took place. And approach the person calmly and respectfully. We also give a presentation on effective communication skills. Approach the person from the front. Look at them in the eye. If you can sit down, sit down. Make sure your body stance is open. Make sure that your tone has empathy in it. Sometimes a smile helps. So make sure that you're calm, because if you're not calm, they won't be. Next chart, please. So address again their physical needs first. Any medical issues? Do they need a hearing aid? Other things that can exacerbate the disease is, do they have a UTI? Do they have a thyroid problem? Is that exacerbating this? Is there any medicine interaction that you need to look for? Or any physical problems, again, such as hunger or thirst. Are they hungry or thirsty? Maybe you can use gestures with them. Lack of social interaction, and this is one of the big things to look for. So, and also the environmental triggers for discomfort. As I said previously, what's the lighting? Is it noisy? What time of day is it? So these are the types of things that we really need to look at. Next, please. So then address the emotional needs. Focus on the person's feelings, not the facts, what's going on under that. And here we would use our I statements. I hear you, I hear you say this, I heard you say this, while using our empathy and lots of patience. And as we know, really the person needs to be validated by our listening. And as we said, we need to focus on the emotional aspects of the conversation. We need to join their reality. The person might be saying they want to go home, but they are home. Maybe one thing that you could say sometimes is, I know you like your home, or I miss my mom. I know you loved your mom. Let's talk about your mom. Maybe use distraction as well. So use your knowledge of the person's preferences to provide effective interventions and redirect the energy into a more soothing activity, such as maybe put a cloth in their hand, perhaps, if they like to do housework. Let's take a walk if that's possible. Let's help doing some other chores. Next, please. Rose's going to talk about her mom who had Alzheimer's disease.
She was part of the family. You know, she'd fold towels, and she'd fold towels all day long some days. Just, you know, put them back in the basket, and then she'd give them to her, here's some more towels. And it may sound like it's cruel, but look, it kept her busy. It kept her movements going. It kept her, you know, just kept her occupied, and it made her feel wanted and that she was contributing. We created a routine for her that worked for her around her agitation and, you know, her sleep patterns. So every day she was in the same routine for the most part. And every day she did something. She was always in the kitchen every day helping do something. Sometimes she'd rinse dishes, but she was always near the kitchen sink because she spent most of her life in front of the kitchen sink. Now she was just doing it in different ways. And going for a walk, going out in the car for a drive, walking around the yard, you know, watering plants. Those are all things that she did, and we just had her continue doing them.
Yeah, so Rose is concentrating on doing what the person enjoyed, first of all, trying to figure that out, redirecting, and she's validating. She's validating her needs, right? She listened to her. And as we said, we really need to focus on the emotional aspects. So reassess and plan for next time. Go back to detecting and connecting. Join the person's reality. What went well and what didn't? And I think this is a good thing to follow. Write it down. And how can you make adjustments and make adjustments to your plan for the next time? Next chart, please. So apply these to any behavior. Again, detect and connect. What's going on? What happened yesterday? Address the physical needs first. Do we need to call a doctor? Then address the emotional needs. What's going on underneath? And reassess and plan for next time. Write it down. Keep a log. Next chart, please. So confusion, these are some behaviors, confusion or suspicion, not recognizing familiar people, places, or things, and accusing others of theft, infidelity, etc. And this is a common occurrence with some folks, usually toward the middle of the disease. And it doesn't help, I will say, to say, well, no, you know who Johnny is, to go back and forth. Again, redirection might help. Taking out a book with pictures in it, perhaps, and accusing others of theft, infidelity, redirection again. Next chart, please. Let's keep Anne's situation in mind as we review these steps. Detect and connect again. Address physical needs first. Then address the emotional needs. What's going on underneath? Maybe something upset them prior to them getting suspicious and angry. What was going on before the action? And reassess and plan for next time. Next, please. So aggressive behavior may be verbal, could be swearing or physical. It may occur suddenly for no apparent reason, or may emerge following a trigger. So one thing I say is safety first. If the person, of course, is in a center, you need to follow the safety protocol of your center. You need to step back if you're in danger. But again, I will say redirect, and we need to figure out what happened. What was that trigger that happened before? What was going on in the environment or currently that's adding to this? Next chart, please. So once again, we need to find out, you're the detective, detect and connect, and see if they need to go see a doctor, hearing aid, eyeglasses, physical needs, and then address the emotional needs. What's going on? Where did this anger come from? Was it somebody that upset them an hour ago or yesterday? Are they feeling frustrated in the home? And reassess and plan for next time. Next. So aggression. Usually aggressive behaviors associated with dementia are upsetting but not dangerous, but occasionally the person is a danger to themselves or others, and safety measures are necessary. So speak with the person's doctor about medical interventions and call 911 when help is urgently needed. Next chart, please. So repetition, saying something over and over and repeating words, questions, or behaviors. And this happens quite frequently, I'm sure, as quite a few of you know. I would suggest, if they can still read, put up a calendar, a very, very large calendar with questions that they ask all the time. Or I've seen a dementia clock. Sometimes folks say, what time is it? What time is it? What season is it? What day is it? And you could point to the dementia clock. So as I said, these are behaviors that happen quite frequently, and or write it down if they can still read at this point. And again, diversion works. Let's come over here. Let's go for a walk. Let's go for a ride. Let's sit down and try to pick out something that they enjoy. Next chart, please. So Dr. Fazio is the Director of Special Projects for the National Office of the Alzheimer's Association.
Repetition is really one of the most common and also frustrating behaviors for caregivers. It's important to really just take a minute, take a breath, and really think about how you could help that person with the answer that they're looking for. It really makes no sense to sort of bump heads with them and try to correct them or try to tell them to stop asking it, because they really can't remember that they just asked you that a minute ago. So thinking about how you could provide an answer that's reassuring, even though you might be doing it over and over and over again.
Yes, I think Dr. Fazio is correct. So again, let's keep Anne's situation in mind as we review these steps: detect and connect, address the physical needs first, then address the emotional needs, and reassess and plan for next time. And just remember, these questions are new to them every time they ask them. So next chart, please. So wandering, 60% of people with dementia will wander, and it can happen at any stage without warning. And this is dangerous, right? I guess you all would agree to that. And if you're in your home, there are some steps that we can take. There are different types of knobs that you could put on the door. You could put a stop sign on the door. You could put a black mat in front of the doors, perhaps. And maybe let's look at why they're wandering. Is it because they're bored? Is it boredom? So maybe take some steps to counteract that boredom with things maybe that you think they would like to do. Okay. So let's keep Anne's situation in mind as we review these steps. Detect and connect. Address physical needs first, then address their emotional needs. Why? Why is this happening? Is it happening? Again, look at your log. Is it a certain time of the day? And reassess and plan for next time. Next chart, please. Oh, and here we are. Wow. So contact us. We can help. We're the Alzheimer's Association, alz.org. Alzheimer's Navigator, where you can get on and make a plan for yourself. Community Resource Finder. We list all kinds of resources in the community, ALZ Connected, where you can get on and you can talk to other caregivers, who can give you some great advice. Maybe they're going through the same things you are. Alzheimer's and Dementia Caregiver Center, and we have a safety center. So 800-272-3900 is our number. We're there 24/7, available all day, every day. And at alz.org, find us. We have support groups. We have caregiver support groups. We're all on Zoom now, educational programs online. And at training.alz.org, free online education programs available at training.alz.org. And next. So this concludes my presentation. And we are the Alzheimer's Association again. Call us 800-272-3900. We're there every day, 24 hours, and we have master level clinicians staffing the hotline. And so any questions you have, they can give you some great answers too. So thank you very much. That concludes my presentation.
We can take any questions that anybody might have, or any maybe examples, because I know there's some experienced caregivers here of behaviors you might have seen.
Well, this was all really good information. I saw a lot of head nodding as you were speaking, Phyllis. It's too bad that Mark had to jump off, because he has a lot of firsthand experience dealing with a family member, as well as working in the business. You said a lot of things. I don't want to monopolize. So if somebody has a question or want to talk about an example, feel free to unmute yourself.
Hi. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. This is Susan, also my mom at Lynn's house.
I just shared a couple of my most recent experiences with a mid-stage dementia patient. First I want to thank you that although it was very enlightening, it's a very good refresher course for me, because I've been in this business for 14 years, but sometimes I forget certain things. So thank you. I really do appreciate it. As I was saying, that I just want to share the most recent experience I had with a dementia patient. She's in mid-stage. So she's have a lot of fears about everything. We have a big sunroom windows, and every time it's windy, she would be scared, because we have a garden full of trees, and she'll be scared that the trees is moving around. And so I had to close the curtains on her, and that does help. Yeah. And then also when her family member come to visit, her daughter have a tendency to get excited and start speaking loudly, and then she will be upset. And not only the daughter, the family, other family members too. And then I have to ask them, nicely. Please keep your voice down. And the most challenging thing is that one family member doesn't seem to understand, and she would stand there, and my Alzheimer patient is very scared. So this is my biggest challenge now, is getting the this lady is the family member of another resident, not this one who's intimidated by everything. And do you have any suggestions how I could ask the other family members to please be respectful? Her mother is not scared, but this first one lady I mentioned is very scared of loud noises, of even her presence, because I guess she's spooky, I guess, to her, to my patient. So you have any suggestion how I could nicely? I mentioned to her many times, but I cannot ask her not to come, unfortunately. I even talked to the POA to talk to her about it, but she had this idea, since she's the daughter of her mother, she have a right to come anytime, even past visiting hours. So I don't know. Do you have any suggestions?
I would say, I know you've spoken to her, possibly, and I'm sure you've probably said this as well. She is different. This is, everyone's different. Everyone goes through these stages differently. Everyone is different in this disease. And she's visiting her daughter, you said, and then visits this woman.
No, we're in the same room having meal.
Oh, I see, having a meal.
When we're having meal
small.
It's a small facility.
I see.
I think it's so interesting. We could be educating families too.
Right,
that's what we should do.
Right.
Here we are talking about how to really get through to residents, but how do you get through the family members?
Right.
That's a whole nother, bucket of fish, or I don't know what the saying is, but that we are available if you have family members like that who want education. We can certainly do this for Just Lynn's house, for family members or whatever. That's one thing. But secondly, I think you're doing a lot right. That seems to be somebody who is really not getting the message. And, I don't know if there's an easy way or a subtle way to ask that family member. Maybe you should call the Alzheimer's Association to just get more information about how things work and how interactions, your interaction with your loved one in a small facility can affect another resident. And somehow she's not understanding you, or she's choosing not to understand you. I don't know what that is.
The second one. I think the second one.
Sorry about that. But
maybe just iterate that they're not in the same, even though they have the same disease, they're different.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're different.
Go through it differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One person does. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, not everybody will wander. A lot of people do, but not everyone will. It's just a different way that the disease affects people. So, yeah, that's unfortunate. I'm so sorry to hear that. We mostly what we hear about is these behaviors that are so hard to stay ahead of, and you know that already, that teaching family members or loved ones that the person with the diagnosis is going to probably have some of these behaviors that we just mentioned, or even others. And instead of always butting heads, or always saying no, or always saying you're wrong, or don't do that, or always using no, training family members to sort of be ahead of it and not say no, but to say yes, but let's go for the walk later, or yes, but let's finish up these chores before we do whatever else. So kind of training family members to be aware of these behaviors and stay ahead of them is really the focus. It's just funny to hear about a family member who she has a loved one with a disease, and in Lynn's house, and you think she'd be ready to help the whole environment and keep the environment, positive for everyone.
Well, she is, this particular lady is a challenge, because she feels that she took care of her mom for the last 8 years until she got sick herself. She couldn't do it anymore. I think, so when she comes, she like to make noises. So she's very good at pointing out what we are not doing the way she's used to do. I think that's the challenge here. She always say, "Oh, you're not doing this right," and I say, "Listen, I've been doing this for almost 14 years now, and it has worked." And she said, "Well, this worked better for my mother," and it's that kind of interaction with her that upset my first patient.
Yeah.
And it's and I had tried to pull her away from the dining room into another room to talk. I said, "Let's talk somewhere else," but then she seemed to, she understands. But then she still verbally, the next day, she still does the same thing over and over again. And it's very frustrating and tiring.
I wonder where her behavior is coming from, if we want to apply the detect and connect. And this is for the family member, not the person with the disease. Is she feeling guilty because she can't care for her mother anymore? And so now she comes in with an attitude of, it's really guilt and feeling badly, but it comes out as kind of passive aggressive, it sounds like. And
yes, I know.
I don't know enough about psychology of a well person to know what do you do next. But she sounds like she feels bad. She can't be doing this for her mother, but she should be happy that her mother's in a place where she's getting the good care. Hilda.
So, I don't know if you've tried this, and I don't even know if it would work. But you had mentioned, pulling her away to talk to her. But what about when she comes, because I know you have one big dining room table and everyone eats together family style, but maybe when the daughter comes, you can make it special for the two of them and set up a tray in the other room, and then the daughter and her mom can have dinner together in another room, and then that way she's not disrupting the other residents, especially the one who is startled by loud noises.
Well, okay. When her other sister comes, we have no problem with the other sister. This one, because she says she has a health issue, that's why she couldn't take care of mom anymore. So she could not help her mom. She cannot feed her mom, but she definitely wants to observe to make sure everything right. It's that kind of situation. Yeah. I mean, if she's willing, I would put her in the sunroom, but she can't. So that she cannot take care of her mom, but she wants to supervise. Micromanagement, I guess that's the word.
Yeah. Well, how about a separate meal time for her mom? I don't know.
That's a good idea. I haven't thought about that.
Yeah. Or not letting her come. Can you limit her visits to not meal times? Or are you not able to do that? No.
No, I had talked to the other sister who are POA. She had limited her time to 1.5 hours per day. And she come every day. And she always come at mealtime. So maybe having different mealtime for her mom might talk to her and try that. So she's away from the other. So I could put she and her mom in a different room.
Right. Yeah. That's work. And if anybody else comes up with any suggestions, we are definitely open to them.
Yeah, that's a good one. Thank you for bringing it up.
Yes. Yeah. So, one of the things that Phyllis talked about was triggers. Oh my goodness. You were so spot on when you were saying that, maybe something happened the day before and it made somebody angry. And then the next day, that the person comes back and they're having a great interaction, but all of a sudden there's still this frustration. And, I see that a lot where they may not remember. They may not even remember who you are, especially like with the new caregiver, but they remember how you make them feel or how you made them felt, how they felt around you.
Right.
So that frustration is still there. I mean, case in point, I have a client who I will even give an example that she was angry at me. One time, there was a caregiver, and after she started sundowning, because the caregiver had short hair like a boy, even though she doesn't have vision problems, she started calling the female caregiver he, I can't have a man in here. I can't have a boy in here. What are my neighbors going to think? And so we couldn't understand, why is she calling this person a he? When, an hour ago, they were the best of friends. They were having a great interaction. And so I asked the caregiver to step out in the hallway just so that, redirect and change the situation. And, but she knew that this person is still out there, this boy. And so as she looked out in the hallway and she could see her. So long story short, I asked the caregiver to finally leave. And it wasn't until then, when she looked out in the hallway, that she started to calm down. But even though she knew me, she, as a friend of her daughter's, that's how I get in there, as her daughter's friend, not as the home care agency owner. And she, when the boy was in the hallway, she was frustrated at me. And the next day after I was gone, she kept talking about the boy and then how, her daughter's friend. And so, I mean, she still had those feelings.
Yes.
So yes.
Yeah.
Trying to redirect and change those feelings, it can be a challenge. But basically it's whatever is aggravating them, trying to get that away is usually the best course of action.
Right. Redirection. Yeah.
I give you a lot of credit, Connie. That is a really complicated one too. And trying to, we're on the clock. We're trying to get this task done, or this, however long, and that's a huge roadblock. And that's almost harder than aggression or something, where she's not going to let it go. And even with you there, it's just, it can't go anywhere. So I give you a lot of credit. It's almost like you have to go to the nth degree here by having the person leave, who's the trigger.
Yes.
And starting over, maybe, and soothing them, trying to start over,
Exactly. Yeah.
You are the detective, Connie.
Yeah. That was a great example of it. And I wish it was something simple. We talked about, Susan, I think you said, closing the drapes, knowing that wind and trees is gonna trigger. That's a really good one. And we do usually talk about that, where if you at dusk, at sunset, start closing the curtains, because they'll think there's people outside or looking in, but it's really their own reflection. And, it's can be, just by closing curtains can be a simple solution to ward off a huge, night of upset, suspicion, confusion, frustration. So I wish there was an easy one for Connie. Go ahead, Phyllis.
No. Another example I'm just remembering of somebody who would always stare at the phone. They had a phone, a landline in their apartment or their assisted living apartment room, and get upset by it, because they were always wondering whether their mom was going to call, or the dad, and they'd be staring at the phone, go to the phone all the time and stare at the phone. Well, what they did was they took the phone out, and that helped with the behavior. So, as I said, we always need to look around to see, what's triggering it.
That's a really good one. Yeah. Because if it's, yeah, if they're fixated on something.
Mm.
And one of the things that Phyllis said that I tell all my caregivers is enter their reality, never tell them no. And the hardest thing is to tell a child, a client's child or an elderly person's child, don't say no and don't try to correct them. It's like, mom, remember this, remember that, that itself is a trigger. It can be a trigger
It is.
to upset them. And I'm like, yeah, if they say that the sky is purple and the ground is pink, you say that is a great shade of pink. Because maybe they really do think it's pink, or maybe they're just, the word is not coming out correctly. Maybe they're thinking green, but it comes out pink. And so if you say no, they're like, yeah, it is. But again, it's just detecting is so important. Like you said, Phyllis, connecting with them. And there was another one where she was talking about routine. Oh, that is so key too.
Okay.
I loved how in the example, was it Anne who gave her mom towels to fold every day? And I know that seems silly, but it's not, because like she said, it made her mom feel useful. Like she's participating, and that it's something that she's used to doing. So I always encourage, let them fold laundry. I mean, even if it takes them 2 hours, it's okay.
Yeah, I think it's so important, Connie. This disease, Alzheimer's disease and related diseases with dementia, they really rob the person of so much, of memories, of thinking, of being able to, executive functioning. But it also starts to rob them of that well-being feeling. I'm an adult. I've lived 80 plus years. I've contributed, I know how to contribute. And then all of a sudden, when you don't feel like I'm making a contribution, it's a subtle thing that starts to happen. This is a disease that, kills brain cells. It's a progressive brain disease. And so we don't know how people are being affected, but the way that you can really keep people on an even emotional, level, an even keel, and to make them feel secure and to make them feel comfortable is to help them fit in, help them belong, help them contribute too. And I think it's interesting how a simple thing like that could be so valuable. And I know, probably places like Lynn's house and small places can really make people feel that way. Large places can too, but there's a lot to do in a small place, and maybe her residents are helping with a lot of it. I hope so. So that's a key for activities. For it doesn't have to be a grand activity with art and music and everything else. It could just be folding the towels.
Yeah, exactly. Virginia, you've been very quiet today. I'm sure you have some examples. I don't know if you'd like to share.
I'm a quiet person. I don't know if I tell this, but my mother died of Alzheimer's disease in '92. Before we had the inroads that we have now, and the research and the knowledge that we have. And the only way they could detect that she had Alzheimer's was the postmortem autopsy. And I had George Washington University because she had it. It started in her 50s, and she would say, "I can't remember." And we would say, "Oh, she's getting senile." And it wasn't until my father died. They've been married 45 years. That we realized the magnitude, because he helped her along finish the sentences. She would even say, "Ambrose, what am I trying to say?" And he would say, "Da, da, 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 da." And we didn't think that was odd until she died, and then we realized, boy, well, And she stayed at home, and stayed with her, and then she lived with me, with my sister. But, and then she eventually died because in the end, she forgot how to breathe. And that sounds so silly. You know, forget how to take in a breath. And she was docile, but she was like a fiery spirit, 98-pound woman. But when she got Alzheimer's, she got really quiet. She did wonder, so we had to worry about that. And but it's a devastating illness.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I remember one time I couldn't find her, and she was in my bedroom, and she had her arms folded. She looked in the chair, and I had put every outfit that I wore that week in the chair because I was going to the dry cleaner at the end of the weekend. I said, Mom, what are you doing in here? And she said, that's awful. That's awful. And I said to her, you can't remember, your name is Gladys, but you can remember to scold me for not hanging up my clothes. And she just shook her head. She said, that's awful. And she looked at me, and I knew exactly what that, you know. She was
still your mother.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but and then I had a first cousin who got it in her 50s, just like my mother. So it definitely is in the family. We have that gene. And I'm 72, so far, you know, as those have been the only two people, but it was something that both of them got it in their 50s, and both of them were totally aware that they had something. They just didn't know how to deal with it. Both of them had it.
And that's a long time to live with it. Your mother lived with it for a long time.
Oh, she did, yeah. Yeah. She was 75 when she died. So
that's a long time.
Very long time. And when I hear that people don't live a long time with it, it amazes me because she had nothing else. Not high blood pressure, not diabetes, not heart disease, she didn't even get a cold or the flu. So, you know, to me that was so odd that everything else is absent, but that Alzheimer's is there. So,
kind of
thank you, Connie, for asking me to share that.
That's kind of the true, like you said, that you know, she had no other disease process happening. You know, so many people, they have Alzheimer's disease as a diagnosis, but they have other things too, you know, and maybe it's the other thing, a heart attack or a stroke that actually gets them in the end. But with your mom, she really did, that was the whole lifespan, and really, you know, forgetting how to breathe, forgetting how to swallow. Those are the end stages, you know, that's where it's gone through all of, and it gets to you don't control your heartbeat, you don't control, you know, following the breathing. It's controlled by brainstem, your brain center, and once that's affected.
Sorry. No, I was just going to say, in the end, pulmonary edema set in because she forgot to breathe, and like you said, forgot to swallow.
Yep.
Yes.
Or even chewing.
And chew, well, you can't chew, but often we can still puree or do some things, you know, for people. But then once that swallowing happens, it's not going to work out after that. Yeah.
Because we prayed for what seemed like a very long time, but you know, she kept going, and then in the end, she forgot to swallow.
Strong disposition.
Yeah. I think what Virginia said shows how far we've come, because when her mother passed away, the only way you could detect was the autopsy, looking at, you know, the brain and seeing how, I guess, how much smaller or how it shrunk, or can't seem to find the right words this morning, but
brain scans. It's just science has come so far. Yeah, that you know, we don't have to wait until we actually look at the brain. It's PET scans, brain scans, anything we can see it, and kind of
even a blood test. There's a blood test now
There is, yeah, one that I don't know how accurate it is yet, but that it's being developed. You're right, and that's going to be a real game changer, also. You know, but then not only and the behaviors are what we also see too. So knowing that your dad compensated, well, you know, when did she really start to show signs that? And you're right, you traced it back to, well, if that was happening before he died, when did it really start? And that's the tricky part is so it's not only a brain scan, it's other testing as well as what kind of behaviors, when did you first start to see those behaviors, and when did things start to seem to go off the rails a little bit?
Going back to what Phyllis said, with her with the chart on, you know, trying to detect what is going on. Another example that it just made me think about was we had a client who refused to bathe, to take a shower, they did not want help. Why is this stranger trying to get me naked and yeah, and in the shower? And so, but they love to sing. And so the caregiver just would sing instead of coming in and saying, okay, let's take a shower, it's bath time. She would start singing hymns. And then the client would sing with her, and they formed a connection with the singing, and it just made her much more agreeable to the point where she started taking a shower. And then they were playing the music in the background too, because we had to determine that music was still so powerful in her life. And music, as you guys know, reaches so far with people with any sort of cognitive impairment. It's so powerful.
It really is. There's been so many studies on music, and the Japanese did a great study on music and physical exercise, and the folks were sitting in their chairs and just raising their hands to a certain beat and listening to the music, and what they found was that their cognitive ability increased. So yeah, music is so powerful. Such a wonderful tool.
And it makes sense. I mean, not only, you know, does it make you feel good, but it evokes feelings and memories. You know, I'll hear a song, right? And back when I was a teenager, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I remember playing that song when what's his name broke up with me and I was crying. And, you know, I mean, that's not a happy memory, but I mean, music triggers that, you know.
It really does.
Yeah.
Sheila,
go ahead.
Do we, I know it are memory cafes. Connie, are you familiar with the memory cafes? And I know they tap into music and idioms and filling in the blank, you know, things.
Yeah, we use music not only exactly the way we just said to, you know, just sort of maybe calm the person, maybe soothe the person. It's a great redirection. So somebody's being aggressive or disagreeable, let's turn some music on and listen to it a while, and it could change our frame of mind. But we also use it as a reminiscing tool. So let's try to guess, you know, the lyrics to this song, the name of this song, or just bringing people back to a certain time frame in our memory cafes. So we might just be 1950s music day, and then but we'll also show something from the 1950s, like different types of cars or things, and just to give you give your brain a way to reminisce and sort of use that muscle that, you know, we don't always use. So even people with memory impairment, we still try to exercise the memory muscles a bit and see what we can do. But yeah, the memory cafes are free, and if you have anybody who would like to join, they're mostly virtual right now, and but let me know. But yeah, they're always using music as a great tool to keep attention on Zoom. You know, that's another good tool.
What a great segue to all that the Alzheimer's Association is doing in our community. So I also saw that, Sheila, you have a lot of programs that are coming up at the Rockville Senior Center.
Yep, they're a great host for us, just as you guys are, the chamber is. So they not only host one of our memory cafes, which is a group that meets actually in person at the Rockville Senior Center, but the Rockville Senior Center has kept a lot of their programming online, although they have brought some people back in person, some of their groups. So yeah, I've been doing different educational programs for them, and it's terrific. I mean, they've got a terrific audience, as you guys probably know. Rockville's a great city, so everything in it's great. So including the Rockville Senior Center, but they do really reach a lot of seniors, and it's they're a great host for us. Yeah, so we're in a nice little partnership right now, as are we. So.
Yay. Yeah. And you're right. I think we were talking about it before the recording started, but and Margie had posted some information in the chat, but this Saturday, October the 9th, is the Capital Area DC Alzheimer's Walk to End Alzheimer's. Mm-hmm. And Alzheimer's.
It's our largest one, I'll say that. So we actually do 7 in our chat. We do 7 walks in our chapter because this is such a huge area. We're not rural. There are rural parts. Like we were just down in Southern Maryland in La Plata last Saturday, which was wonderful, great weather, beautiful community, but one of the smaller walks we do. And then for us here in the local Montgomery County area, the Washington, D.C. walk is our walk. And so it's a giant walk. Usually it's hundreds of thousands of people. It won't be this year. We're not doing anything on a large scale like that. So for instance, all of the walks have been cut down. We still have a stage. We still have some, great speech and announcements, but they're not like they used to be with music and, exercise and everything. We try to tone everything down and kept things short and sweet, but still do the walk in person together. So it's this Saturday will be great. It's one of 7 that we do. So we kind of go on and on from late September all the way into November, almost every weekend doing a walk somewhere.
I know that keeps you guys busy.
Yes.
So if you have not signed up yet for this Saturday's walk, it's not too late. You can register, grab some friends, and you can register and you can walk with friends, family, or you can look for a team that is already in existence and you can join a team. For example, you can join our team. You could do a search for Comfort Care Rockville. Registration starts at 8 a.m. and the walk is at 9:30 this Saturday. Rain or shine, Sheila?
Yes. please shine. Don't feel like being out there in the rain.
It's pretty neat. And we'll have our flags, and will we have our flowers?
Yep. We'll still have our flowers. We'll still have our walk route. There will be as many people as possible coming, but we just don't make it a big start and a big finish anymore. And actually, we just kind of tell people, start walking whenever you'd like. And, you know, we do everything now with a UPC code. So we don't hand out zillions of brochures and giveaways. We do everything through cell phones. So there, you'll see it's a little different. There's still water and refreshments given out, but it's not all of the things, all the giveaways that we all used to do. Hopefully next year we'll be back to that normal way of really visiting each table and kind of spending the time. But you'll see the Alzheimer's Association, we're still working remotely. A lot of our activities are still virtual. They really have a lot of abundance of caution, and especially with these big walks, to really make sure we're all safe.
Sure. So
we're obviously walking with masks on. I should say that. Even though it's outdoors, we're still saying, and bring your mask too. So
yeah, that's a great idea. Thank you again, Sheila, for all that you and the Alzheimer's Association does. Thank you, Phyllis, for joining us. And thank you for the past 6 months of your education series. I've learned a lot, and Margie has recorded all of them, and they're posted on the Rockville Chamber of Commerce YouTube channel. So if anyone missed one or two or want to watch one again, it's located on YouTube, and reach out to Margie or me and we'll help you find the link.
It's also on our website under programs.